Good morning, paranormal community, and thank you for joining my co-host, Mr. David Soren, and I on another amazing episode of the Odyssey Files. I am your host, Michael O'Neill. How are you, Dave?
I'm doing good. Other than the fact it's 13 below out.
Is it? Is that what it is?
Yeah. It's the first day of our kind of Arctic blast. It's supposed to be 17 below tonight. It's 13 below right now. It looks like it's 13 below. I mean, it's crystal blue skies up, but I don't see anything moving.
I'm just glad that the Wi-Fi signals are not getting frozen in the
I think that's why my speaker's messed up today. But I'm blaming it on the weather.
Think it's frozen?
I think it's under protest because it's so cold outside and it's up against the wall.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
Great show in store for everybody today. Got some really outdid yourself in picking the stories for today.
I did, didn't I?
Yes. One is going to, as I said last night, garner some very interesting conversation.
Oh yeah. I'm letting you tackle that one. I'm just going to sit back and watch.
Oh, there's no way you're keeping me from it. You're going to enjoy that one. Anyways, Dave, you wanted to do this just in general, and I agree. So I might as well do it now and during the second hour. So we're going to hit on a topic that I think a lot of people are. There's three things that people are very, 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 very picky about, and if you go anywhere to the left or right of their said beliefs in these three things, they go off their rocker.
Yeah, well, that's a conversation topic. Is a good way to.
Right. So
you're going to have yourself a friendly debate.
Yes. So one is sports, two is politics, and three is religion. And we're going to be tackling the religious aspect of this. Not to, and this is the disclaimer I think you wanted to put out there, Dave, is Dave and I are not experts in this.
No. So yeah, right. So if you're Buddhist and we in our limited research say something about Buddhism that is incorrect because we trusted some information that we found when we were doing research on how Buddhists look at ghosts, then don't hate us.
Yeah.
Just know that we're doing the best we can, glossing over the top, and not glossing over, but we're going to dig into it, but it's not, but obviously like I don't have a degree in different religions. So
yeah. We need Scott for that. So we're going to do the best we can. This is absolutely not a judgment on any sort of religion. We're not saying whether any religion is right or wrong. It's merely throwing it out on what the summarized version of what they believe is, and then discussing that. And there's honestly, as I look over all of these different religions, I see aspects in what I have noticed in the paranormal in like nearly all of them. And so honestly, I think all of them are right in some way and all of them are incorrect in some ways. Like they just seem to be building off of the same thing, but talking about it in different ways.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think all religion is kind of that way anyway. I mean, they all believe in a deity, right? I mean, you just name it different things, but it gets a little deeper than that. I mean, like with Hindu, well, let's not get into it. Right. We'll wait till the second hour.
So just want to throw it on now, and we'll say it again during the second hour, just to make sure everybody understands.
Everybody knows, yeah,
what you're trying to do. So with that said, should I have this up? And I didn't. Yep. Delayed reaction
It's called
The Odyssey Files is proud to present the mailbag. All right. So, my apologies on that one. I screwed that one up.
I'm blaming everything on the cold.
That's fine. You know, it's like 72 in my house, so why not? I'm at least, I don't
That's
know,
a
like
balmy
50,
70 or 69 in here.
I'm a like 15 feet away from a window. That's close enough. Must be drafty. So here we go. Story number 1. Why do ghosts have different responses to people asking about the afterlife? Which is interesting. I mean, because we're going to be getting into that obviously during the second hour, but it's fine to talk about now. I've seen many videos and stories of people asking about the afterlife, and each ghost responds differently. I've seen some say heaven is real, while others say it's not. Some don't respond, and some do respond. And some will talk about something we've never heard of. Is it possible the ghosts don't even know? This is a good question. I mean, because whereas I have not seen a lot of stories or seen a lot of videos or watched a lot of videos, because videos makes me nauseous to watch everything. But like I've asked that question before. I haven't particularly gotten any answers to it. I want to say, I don't know if it was when you and I were still doing investigations together, or if it was, I can't even remember where I got it from. But I thought that I had asked that question once, and I think I got an EVP of cold, and that was it. So the interesting thing is, before I even saw this question, over the last couple of days, I've really gotten a need, or like a desire to watch What Dreams May Come, the Robin Williams movie about dying and going to heaven, and then obviously, you know, searching for his wife and whatnot. And actually watched it last night before I went to bed. Great movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it. But I'm really starting to have the belief that the afterlife, or however that is done, is self-actualized. And if that's the case, then that's why everybody responds differently. If somebody who doesn't really believe in heaven, or maybe didn't go there right away, they might start to lose faith, or they might start to think that there is no heaven because they did not go there. And so when asked about the afterlife, they're going to say it sucks. There's no such thing as heaven. Spirits that can cross back and forth between the veil from heaven and here to visit loved ones or do whatever, they're going to know that there is one. And I do believe that everybody's heaven is different, just like I believe everybody's hell is different, depending on, you know, where they decide to put themselves. But I think that it's not so much the fact that the ghosts don't know. I think it's that it's different for each and every one of them. And if that's the case, then you're always going to get a different answer. So I think if we want to actually figure out what the afterlife is, maybe we could start tailoring questions to what is your heaven like, and see if we can get a different type of answer to, or the same type of answer to that one. Or I guess just accept the fact that every spirit is going to answer different, if they answer at all. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it with that.
All right. So two differences between what you just said and what I think. So number one, I don't think that everybody has their own heaven. I think that we go back into a global consciousness that we go back into it, the concept of one, and that we're all just a single strand of fiber back into one. And I've got a very interesting story to share with that. So I'm going to do it now because it's a perfect place for it. So speaking to one of my new clients at work, he was telling me that he was at a little watering hole, local place, and he met a guy. They were sitting around chewing the fat and having a cold beer. And this particular new client of mine has got stage 4 cancer and he's dying. And he's afraid of death. And the guy who was at the bar told him, well, can I share something with you? And he said, sure. And the guy had a couple of years previously had died in an accident and was clinically dead for 3 minutes on the table. And so my client said, well, was it all like what we hear? Is it the white light at the end of the tunnel? Did your family members come and hold your hand or walk with you, escort you up? Did Jesus take you up through the white light? And he said, no. He said, I didn't see any white light, but he said, I felt nothing but peace and love. And he said, when I opened my eyes, he said, when he looked around, all he saw was billions and billions of other specks of light, and that he was one of those specks, and that those specks were all working in harmony and unity together. So that's what he saw when he died, which I find that to be very interesting, because that's kind of how I've always believed that it is that when we pass, we're going to go back into like the giant mixing bowl. It's kind of, a way to look at it. Although I don't think it's a mixing bowl with no defined edges for sure.
One cup of Dave.
Yeah. 1 cup of Dave, half a cup of, so-and-so. And right. So in that respect, I think that that's a little bit different. And then number 2, I don't believe, I still am of the belief that spirits don't respond because there's something on the other side that's a rule or some sort of frequency barrier might be a better way. It might be, if they're, spirits might be talking to us all the time, like Mike and I are talking right now, but it's on a totally different frequency. Mm-hmm. And so we only catch little bits and pieces of stuff here and there, which makes it extremely difficult to put something together. But I would ask this viewer, right, is that why are you watching? So are you looking for the answer yourself, or are you looking for different people's opinions? Because I've watched a lot of video, watched a lot of documentaries, read a lot of stories. I don't know, and I know just about everybody in the paranormal world who's like getting paid to talk about ghosts. And I don't know that they have all come up with different answers. I don't think they come up with answers at all. I think they're just like the rest of us. They just happen to be getting paid to do it. But there is no, I've never seen, when I'm watching something or researching something, I've never seen like 5 different answers where a ghost doesn't know what it's doing, or that, the spirit says this thing, and then over here in Atlanta, this spirit say this, and over in New Hampshire, this says this, and California, it's different. And I don't think it's different. I don't know where that question comes from, but I believe that we're all going to go back into one, the one, which is what I would refer to as God. And other religions would call it, have a different name for
it. That was a very Cena answer. I want to put that out there.
She's wearing off on me. I'm starting to clearly see. No, I'm not.
There you go.
Yeah, no, that ain't. Yeah, I'm not clearly seeing anything. It's all just a haze.
It's fair. That's fair. Okay, you're up.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking to see which one I want to do. All right. Hey guys, so I did something that I might need some help with. I used a Ouija board with a couple of my friends, but one of them kept taking their hands off of the planchette without saying goodbye. And ever since, I've had trouble sleeping and things have been moving around the house without explanation. As a side note, I want to say that I also brought home graveyard dirt, and my dog destroyed the container and the dirt spilled all over my room. How do I find out if someone or something is attached to me? Time, confrontation. I mean, that's not my recommendation. I'm just simply answering your question. First of all, and I don't even need to go there because Mike's headed there already. I can feel the vibes. So I'm not going to give you the lecture on playing with Ouija boards and then bringing graveyard dirt into your house, because I don't know what you were trying to conjure, or if you did it on a dare or whatever the case might be, but it was a dumb move. So how do you know if someone or something's attached to you? Time will tell. It would depend. Trouble sleeping, that's not because of the paranormal. If you're getting visited in your dreams by something that scares you and you're having nightmares, that could be paranormal. If you're being touched while you're sleeping, or somebody shouts in your ear and freaks you out, or you wake up and your blankets are folded and on the chair in the corner of the room, then you might have something going on. But to say things are moving around the house without explanation, I mean, you'd have to get in a lot more detail than that. But time will tell. And then I would keep an eye on, if something's focused on you, you'll know it. You're just going to know it, because you're going to have that uneasy feeling that somebody's watching you. You're going to see things out of the corner of your eye as it gets more intense. You're going to start experiencing things like perhaps touch, movement of objects in your room that defy logic. Your dog freaking out and barking at nothing, and not just one time. Scratches in the wall, it goes on and on and on and on and on. So, I mean, that's how you can tell. And this is one of those cases, again, where I would highly recommend that you don't go to a cemetery, play with a Ouija board, and then dig up somebody's grave and then bring the dirt home. The person who dug the graveyard dirt from might just be a little upset and might be visiting, throwing some stuff around your house. But that's only going to last a short time, because then they'll get tired of it and they're going to move on. And the bad thing is you can't satisfy it because you don't have all the dirt anymore. So my logic there would say you need to take the dirt back and put it back respectfully where it was and apologize. But now that your dog destroyed it and it's in the floorboards or it's all over in the carpeting and you sucked it up in the vacuum cleaner and all that fun stuff, that's not possible to do anymore. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I'm not an expert on digging up graveyard dirt and bringing it home and studying it and trying to figure out what can happen to me. I pass on that one. So what do you think, Mike?
It's almost as bad as like going to like a reservation and taking dirt there. I'm like, you're just messing with stuff. Like, what could be the possible motivation for doing something like that? Like, I'm walking through a grave. You know what? That dirt looks I'd like to have that in my room. Like, what possible thought process could go through somebody's head to dig up graveyard dirt to bring home?
It's part of witchcraft. It's part of conjuring, part of devil worshiping. You need to have that kind of that cemetery dirt type of thing for part of rituals.
Okay. I mean,
but
nothing in
I don't think that this is a 30-year-old guy or a 30-year-old woman doing this. I think this is probably somebody in high school, would be my guess.
I would agree with you on that one.
Like as a dare, let's go scare ourselves type of thing.
I don't know if it's so much a dare. Who would dare somebody to bring
dare to bring home the graveyard dirt.
Yeah, but I don't get that from this at all. I think it would have been part of the letter. Like, somebody dared me to do it, and now this happened.
Yeah, that's true.
I think he did it of his own volition, and now he's, now they're suffering the consequences of it. This is again another one of those big.
Nothing's happened yet, so maybe they're going to suffer. I think they're freaking themselves out, personally. But
well, I do agree with you with the fact that the board thing has nothing to do with the trouble sleeping. But things moving around the house without explanation. I don't think that's. Honestly, I don't think anything that is happening is attributed to the board.
no,
So you can toss that out. Just my only thing on that one is not to be a moron. Don't use boards, especially if. No, I'm not even going to say it. It's just no, especially if. But the graveyard dirt is definitely worrying, and I think this is one of those you stole stuff from me, now I'm going to steal stuff from you type of thing. Obviously your dog destroyed the container, as Dave said, you vacuumed it up, I'm sure you cleaned it, and now it's gone. There is something that I would like you to try and see if maybe it is good enough. And that is take some dirt from your house, bring it to where you took theirs, and place it wherever you had it or wherever you took it from. Apologize for what you did. Explain why you couldn't bring back the dirt that's theirs and that you want them to have this in exchange, and you hope that that's enough. If anything, maybe have an offering like almonds, or I know that's to elementals, but you never know what you're dealing with. And sometimes the offer, I think, it would be good enough. I'm not saying that is going to rectify the situation. I don't know if whatever spirit is messing with you will take that. But again, we're always talking about intent, and the intent is to apologize. The intent is to correct the wrong that you did. And we'll see if something like that would work. If you're, I can't really say that if you're using the board and taking graveyard dirt, you're all that religious. Maybe try having whatever dirt you're going to bring blessed, depending on what type of cemetery, your graveyard, you took it from. And see if that helps. But otherwise, you're just going to have to deal with the consequences of your actions if that doesn't work. That's all I got.
And this is one of those moments where I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad for stupidity.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I am an empath, so internally, like, I want to reach out and grab this person and protect them and keep them safe. Externally, I want to smack them upside the head and, figure out a way to not repeat the same type of blatant disregard for common sense. And that's my personal view, obviously. Which, is being half the show, is also half the view of the show. All right, buddy, where are we going next?
All right. This person is writing in about shadow figures and people. So I have this person or people following me around. One in particular is the figure of a tall man with a top hat. Does anyone know who or what he is? Why do I see him in the corner of my eye? A couple months ago, I was seen as crazy, hearing breathing when no one was in my room, and someone sitting down on my bed and touching my leg when no one was there but me. It freaked me out, and I can't sleep most nights. Am I going crazy? Has anyone else experienced something like this? I could really use some advice. Yes, they have. Maybe not all at once. So obviously, as I read the fact that it's a figure with a top hat, longtime listeners of the show, myself included, go straight to the Hat Man. But I honestly don't know if that's what this is, because he typically does not stick around, so you see him over and over and over again, especially not at the corner of your eye. He's more of a in your face kind of entity. He doesn't do anything off to the side. Shadow people and figures typically don't sit on your bed, and they don't breathe. So there's really no reason you're going to hear like crazy breathing. I have had it. Obviously, I was younger, so it might have been my imagination, but I've had my back like towards the outside of my room, and I'm completely sure that there's a presence in my room, and I can hear breathing, but there was nothing there. It's my imagination. Obviously turn around, show myself that there's nothing there, and it all goes away. So, I mean, is this your imagination with the breathing? I don't know, but I don't think that this is actually the Hat Man. The Hat Man is not the only spirit ever to wear a top hat. There are lots of Victorian era type spirits who are seen where they're, in full, dress mode with a top hat, like they're going out for the evening. This could be a former homeowner. I don't know how old your house is, or what went on with the land, but honestly, nothing here is like strikes me as being bad. Upsetting, yes. Like confusing, what is going on? Intense, absolutely. Like you're really not prepared to have your leg touched. But I mean, I don't want to say if that's all it is, don't worry about it. But if you are worried about it, I would bring in somebody. Like medium, a reputable paranormal team. Somebody will be able to figure this out for you, because I don't think it's the Hat Man, and I don't think you're dealing with shadow people. I think you're dealing with one entity here who's in some way trying to reach out to you. For what purpose, what the motivation is, I have no idea. But that's where the people who are there to help you find answers come into play. But yeah, that's what I got.
I'm going with Abe Lincoln.
You think Abe Lincoln is okay? That's a very me comment, Dave. Like that's a joke I would make.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of thinking that this person might be doing like a school report on presidents or whatever, maybe focused on Abe Lincoln, and maybe Abe Lincoln's coming to hang out and kind of spend some time with her, but she's overreacting to the presence. So I'm with you. This is not a shadow person. Shadow people are interdimensional beings that don't play nice. They don't have any intent of being kind. I don't see anything here that is aggressive or overbearing or harmful. The touch on your leg could have been a pencil under your sheet and it felt like somebody poked you. I mean, there's a billion things that common sense and logic can make out of something like that. I think what's happening here is I think you're freaking yourself out. So I will tell you, watching the football games yesterday, and I think, my brain says that I saw what I saw, but I'll give you a perfect example. So I'm watching the Kansas City Chiefs game. Boo. I had to throw that in there. And nice refereeing, by the way. That headlines today. Referees admit they blow calls, multiple calls, and the Texans weren't too happy. But I digress.
I told you it's going to be a drinking game.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah. So no, I totally forgot what I was going to say.
I'm sorry.
Oh, corner of my eye. Sorry. So as I'm watching the game, to my left, out of the corner of my eye, 3 separate times I see a mass, not a dark mass either. It was more of a clear liquid, move into my vision, clearly into my peripheral. And then when I turned my head, of course it wasn't there, but 3 separate times a clear mass moved to my left, sitting in the living room, and it was by the kitchen table. So distinctly saw it. I just figured it was somebody I knew coming to watch the game. So I invited him and sit down and watch the game. That comes with experience, though. If you're young and nothing like this has ever happened to you before, and this is kind of an awakening where your spirit guides are showing you a glimpse of what else is out there, or you have the innate ability, like we all do, to kind of see and experience things that are all around us all the time that people just shut out, then yeah, it's scary. It's scary when it first happens, especially when you're like under 5. That really sucks. But I wouldn't be worried. My best advice here, you're looking for advice. My best advice would be claim your territory, stand your ground, tell whatever it is that it's not allowed to freak you out. And that if it can't be nice, then it has to leave altogether. And that you don't want it around you, and it's not allowed to stay in the house or attach itself to anything in your home or any other person in your home. It's not allowed to bounce around and make life miserable for others. But I don't think there's anything there. But doing that isn't going to hurt anything either. So claim your territory back. That's the best piece of advice I can give on. I can't even tell you how many times I've said that to clients or done it with them. It's kind of a strengthening thing. And I think it's good for your psyche anyway. I think it's good for the person who's scared, because now they feel like they're back in control, even though control is an illusion, but they feel like they're back in control. And that's what's important, is that they feel safe again in their space. And that's really the ultimate goal for me in the paranormal, is to obviously make things better for families with kids that are experiencing things that they don't understand and they can't explain, but also for people to feel, for everybody to feel safe in their own space again. That's the ultimate thing. And if it's something nasty, then to kick its ass out. Call God to come in. I'll be his vessel. Whatever he wants me to say or do, that's what I do. But those are few and far between. Nasty entities exist, but they're few and far between.
Yes, definitely not as common as the TV shows would like you to believe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you watch any paranormal TV, and I stopped watching it because I needed a cleanse. Say 90, 80%, better than 75% or 80%. Either it's focused on negative entities or demons, or it works its way there. And that's because that shit sells. It's the same reason why I'm a big horror movie fan. A great horror movie transports me to a place of vulnerability, which for me, I'm not vulnerable and I don't feel vulnerable. So when I have that moment where I feel vulnerable and a movie makes me feel that way, I like that. So that's my attraction to horror movies. Smile 2 was a great example. It's just I look at those things and I'm like, yeah, that could happen. And then it kind of puts me in a vulnerable situation. It could happen. I'm hoping it doesn't. So, all right, moving on. Surprised ghosts. Has anyone ever had a ghost be surprised to see that you saw it? Yes, I have. So I was asleep on the couch in my parents' living room a few years back, and upon waking up, I saw the top half of a ghostly figure floating across the room. It turned its head and looked at me, then literally dropped its jaws in shock. We sat there staring at one another for what was probably about 5 seconds, as I was also in shock, until I finally got up and ran upstairs. Its face and body was almost completely see-through. All I could make out was the eyes and a mouth, and then the eyes were then we locked eyes. So I haven't ever seen what it was again. And when I visit my parents' home, and I visit very frequently, should I be concerned? No, you shouldn't be concerned at all. I think that one of two things happened there. Either the veil was really close together, or you were really close because you were just waking up from maybe being on like a spiritual journey, or maybe you're astral projecting, lucid dreaming. So you wake up and you bring part of that back with you just for a second. And then you were probably engaging with this individual while you were out doing whatever you were doing in your dreams. And this person happened to come back with you temporarily. Now, how that happens, I can't answer that. But that's kind of where my brain takes this. And yeah, is it shocking to see? Yeah, it's shocking to see it, but it's funny. I mean, I've seen spirits. I've seen spirits on location that the spirit seems more freaked out by the fact that it sees me than I see it, which I think is absolutely hilarious. Because I'm like, why are you? And I even say that, and I never get a response. But I even say that. Why are you afraid? What are you afraid of me for? I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to kick you out. But I never get a response to that. But yeah, it is kind of funny when you see a spirit and then they see you and then you don't know what's going on. A couple times I've locked eyes with them and we just kind of look at each other, and it's not like they're scared or that they're in shock that they see me. It's almost like they knew they were going to see me, and they're, I don't know if I want to say happy. They are satisfied with the fact that I can see them. And I don't know what that means either. But the looks on their face are one of congratulations on reaching this stage. You know, like we've been waiting for you to get here. This was
level complete.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking, right? Like it's a growth thing.
Maybe. Rite of passage.
Yeah, something like that, right? Where you have your moment, and then they sit back and wait for you to pass your test or take the next step, and then you take the next step, and then they see you and they give you a discerning eye. It's neither positive nor negative. It's just more of a, okay, you've arrived. Don't pat yourself on the back too hard moment. And then they're gone. I do love I will go back to this though. I absolutely love this. When we were at the hotel down in New Prague, and Steve was sitting in the chair, and there was a big bookcase right next to him. And he's sitting there, just everything's dead quiet. He turns his head, and there's a head coming out of the bookcase, a woman, and she turns her head and sees him, and he screams and jumps out of the chair at the same time that her eyes open up and her mouth opens up, and she flies back into the bookcase. And then he comes running and tell me, "You're not going to believe what I just saw. Jesus Christ." He was all flustered. But it was funny. I mean, and I said, "Well, who scared each other worse?" He goes, "I don't know." He goes, "I think we both pretty much did a good job on each other." So, what happens? She was probably one of the spirits that we talked to 100 times at Gene's. And was just happened to be moving from one spot to another. It was coming through the bookcase. And it happened to be a chance encounter. So I love that though.
It's actually Newmarket, not New Prague.
Oh yeah, Newmarket. Yeah,
Newmarket.
Yeah. I was thinking after I said that, I'm like, no, it's not New Prague, but it's right there in that neighborhood. So
yeah, Newmarket. But so I mean, I think it's a common occurrence when spirits and people who see each other, freak each other out. I've often said on the show probably half a dozen times over the years about how I don't know whether spirits can control what they show when they show it. Could they just be walking through the house and all of a sudden energy just, maybe they walk by an outlet or something like that and their energy spikes and all of a sudden they're visible for 2-3 seconds, and that wasn't part of the plan. You also have to take into account the theory of like the others. Is that person in his time or her time walking through a room or whatever, looks over and sees a spirit laying down on the couch or a couch or whatever, and that's why they're freaked out, because they're seeing a ghost, which is you. Obviously you don't mean it, and neither do they. So I mean, these are all questions about the paranormal that we all have, and we don't have any solid answers for it. We have a bunch of theories. Problem is, we don't know. At least I don't know how to prove them. I don't even know how to test them, unless you have access to a place anytime you want, and a spirit who's willing to talk to you.
Even then, the scientific community would kick it out. But
originally, yes. But I would think that over time, if you had the necessary requirements to experiment, that you could devise an experiment that would be scientifically proven or about. Problem is,
I hope that day never comes.
You don't want the paranormal proven?
If this is why I say this. Right now, we're kind of a fringe science. Okay. So it is a science, and scientists will tell you that it's a science. And a lot of really intelligent people believe in the afterlife and have witnessed and experienced things themselves firsthand. But I like the fact that we're not governed by a set of rules. And if you really think about it, if it ever becomes proven that this is like scientifically proven that yes, spirits exist and we we believe now, and this is great, and we shouldn't have been saying that it wasn't real the whole time. And as soon as that happens, there's going to be about 4 billion rules and regulations placed on the paranormal. How you can do it. If you don't do it this way, well, then it's not valid. No, it's not valid. No, because you were using a black recorder, not the yellow recorder that we told you that you have to use. So therefore, we're throwing all of your stuff out. It's going to get asinine like that. And that's like an extreme example. But I'm sure in some, like any other bill or any other law that gets passed, it's going to get thrown in there. Somebody will write it in at the last second and be like, okay, it's been 3 years and I've never got to put anything in any policy. You guys always throw my shit out. So either you put that in there that it has to be a yellow recorder and not a black one, or I'm taking my ball and going home. And that's it. And that's the final straw. And somebody will be like, okay, just appease him. We need the ball to play ball. Just appease him. Put the stupid ass yellow recorder thing in there. Who cares? And then it'll be everybody will be running around with the yellow recorder. And I know that sounds weird, but man, if you've experienced life and keep your eyes open, it's not weird at all, because it'll happen. And so I want to stay where we're at for right now. Would I ever like to see it proven? You know how I would like to see the paranormal proven? I would like Houdini and Thomas Edison and Einstein and all these people that have influenced the lives of Americans, Abe Lincoln. I want to see all those entities come back into a space and materialize and have conversations and give a chastising to all of the people that were naysayers that said that it's not possible. It doesn't work into the law of physics. It doesn't fit into this double-blind study. And then I want to see their responses. And the first thing they'll say is, yeah, I saw it, but it was just a case of mass hysteria. There'll be some immediate write-off. Even even if Abe Lincoln walks up and puts his top hat on your head and takes a picture, a selfie with you, there are people that would have a reason to say, nah, that didn't happen. I was, So I like where we're at. Let's stay the fringe science for right now.
Okay, well, I have more to say on that thing, but I don't want to go back into that topic.
Sorry.
That's quite all right. So, and now so much time has passed since I last spoke. I don't even remember what I was even talking about.
I don't either, to be honest with you.
Way to go, Dave. All right, well, that was my answer.
Yep. I gave my answer in that tangent. So
yeah, people
well, you were talking
about how to
about
properly
how it's common for people to see spirits and spirits see them, that you think it's a common occurrence.
I think it's more common than people think. I don't know if it's so much of a common experience, but I digress. But yeah, I think I pretty much got my answer now.
I think you did too.
Yeah.
All right.
It's me.
So this is kind of I like this one because this follows up to
it's my turn. It's my turn.
No, I thought you'd. Oh yeah, it is. Never mind.
See, so much time had passed because of your rant. We don't know where we are. But no, it's my turn.
Yeah. And
this is the good one. We got to make sure I have this one.
Oh yeah. Well, you can have that one. I don't want that one.
Okay. Here we go. This is going to be great. There have been cases where things I knew for a fact I put one place ends up across the house. Weird noises, movement of items, and grunting noises from the other rooms. Not to be too vulgar, but I sleep naked. I get hot really easy. For the past few months, I've woke up with my ass in the air and my face down, and an aching pain that pulsates from my anus. This occurs about once a week, and I don't know how to stop it. But besides the aching anus and me being face down, ass up, I hear this in my dreams. Take that. And every time I hear those words, I wake up face down, ass up. Can spirits have sex with you? What can I do to stop this? Okay. This is amazing. If it's true. Like I'm on the verge of just being like, this is completely made up. But let's go on the
see, I see what you did there.
See what I did there? Yeah. Unintentionally too, my mind. So there's two ways that we can look at this. So I'm going to answer the question directly or specifically. And that is yes, spirits, if they have enough energy, just like pushing, touching, pulling your hair, whatever, they can have sex with you. For how long, I don't know. But there are unfortunately a lot of stories and people and women who have had encounters with spirits who have felt like they were sexually assaulted. Not like this at all, ever. And I say women because I know if men were to have a female ghost, they'd be like, it'd be Dan Aykroyd in Ghostbusters. It'd be like, oh, a ghost is undoing my pants. Okay. I'm all for that. So yeah, men would be a little different. But in this instance, honestly, I don't think anything paranormal is happening with you. There is, at least I believe there is. I haven't looked it up, but I believe there is an actual like medical issue called sexsomnia, and that is people who are pent up or whatever will literally have sex in their sleep. So there is, and then obviously not remembered. There is a very good chance you are doing it to yourself. Why? I have no idea. That's between you and whatever hardships in your life are going on right now. But like I said, I think it would take so much energy to move you into position and then actually go through the deed to the point where you feel it when you wake up. So I would talk to somebody about it, maybe set up a camera. I can't believe I just said that, but I did. Not to put out on the YouTube or anything, but for your own mental state, for your own confirmation, to see what is going on when this actually happens, and then delete it. So the only time ever I've ever said put up a camera, and it had to be this.
Mm-hmm. And only send it 2 places. Keep it in your private library and send a copy to Mike because he wants to verify what's happening.
There might be something you missed.
Yeah. You might have not been paying attention. So make sure it's in 4K so I can slow it down and adjust speed if I have to without causing blurring effects.
Yeah.
So
4K IR.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going 2 totally different directions.
Nice.
Alien anal probe. This is the absolute perfect story.
I thought
anal probe.
I honestly thought about that, and I was honestly going to put it in my answer. That Dave's going to go alien.
I am. I'm going alien. I'm going anal probe alien. Could be a very legitimate answer. And the aliens don't know any better. So when they drop you back in the bed, they just drop you down. Then you get transported up to the ship. They do their anal probe. You get thrown back into bed. You're still in the anal probe position. So, you wake up. It's once a week. It isn't happening every night. So that's one answer. Now that is kind of like my legitimate answer, although I think it's a little far-fetched, but it is my legitimate answer. But here's the more realistic answer. I like the fact what Mike said, right? You've got something pent up and that you're having sex, you're doing it to yourself. So by the fact that you're hearing somebody say, take it, you naughty girl. You naughty girl. Because that's what she's hearing. She just didn't put that in there. That is you like wanting to be submissive, and you need to go see a shrink because you're probably doing this to yourself. Sexual fantasy type of thing. For whatever reason, it's playing itself out. Or, and this is the scary part, there's a human answer for this. Maybe this is happening every Sunday, and maybe Sunday afternoon, your next door neighbor comes over and you have a few cocktails together, and it's kind of it's an ongoing thing, and you've been doing it every week, and da-da-da-da-da. And maybe there's a roofie in there, or maybe they're doing something to you that knocks you out and then raping you. And I hope that's not happening. But if you set a camera up, you certainly would have an answer for that. And then you'd have something to take to the police and send the sicko to jail. So I think that it would depend on a lot of things, but I think that could be a total lie. Could be an alien probe. Could be your next door neighbor drugging you. I don't know. But it's a serious thing. I mean, if I put myself in your shoes and this was happening to me, I don't know that I would be calm about it, to the fact that I'd be writing about it casually, or writing a question and casually to a podcast and saying, hey guys, for the last 6 months, every week I wake up in the prone position like doggy style and my butt really hurts. I would think that you would go resolve that. Like, I would be afraid of what is happening, and I'd be looking for some answers, which I guess writing to us could be the answer. Maybe we gave you the answer. I don't know. Interesting though. I definitely have. I've had people tell me they've had sex with spirits. Obviously succubuses are a thing. We talked about the lady in England who married the ghost and I'm sure that they consummated their marriage. Mozart was going to be there, and Elvis, and a few other people. So, maybe it was a group thing. I mean, who knows? But it's interesting, So there are people out there that claim to have sex with ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on. Let's see where I want to go. I'm going to go here. So, shadow person following me. I think this is a good follow-up question to the one that we talked about earlier, how it wasn't a shadow person. So I, 29-year-old female, have been told by many people in my life that they see a shadow figure following me. Once my younger cousin told me she saw it following me around a room, and also told me before she has seen it standing at the end of my bed watching me. I've had several different people ask me who I was with when I was driving because they saw someone sitting in my passenger seat, yet I was totally alone. One time my dad's roommate said, "You're not going to invite your friend inside?" And I said, "What do you mean?" Because I was alone at the time. I didn't have any friends with me. And he said, as he drove past me on the way to my dad's, he saw someone sitting next to me in the car. Today I went to a medium for the first time, and she said a shadow figure came up to her, but wouldn't let her know who they are. This is interesting. This to me is more of a potentially legitimate shadow person type haunt. The reason I say that is because numerous other people are seeing the shadow figure following you around. And to me, that's not a good sign. To me, this is something I would be concerned with. Seeing something out of the corner of your eye, thinking that something got misplaced in the room, a million natural explanations. 5, 6, 8, 10 people telling you that they see somebody sitting next to you in your car when you're all alone. That they see somebody walking behind you, like a shadow of you, like your actual shadow being alive and walking behind you. That's not a good thing. And there's no reason why an attachment or somebody who wanted to come visit you, they wouldn't be maybe sitting in the car once type of thing. Maybe. And that's a big maybe. But walking around the house, standing at the edge of your bed, menacingly staring at you while you sleep. Yeah, I don't have a good feeling about this one. And I really don't like I love the fact that you went to a medium to try and figure out what's going on. I really don't like the fact that a shadow figure came up into the room, but wouldn't go near the medium, because to me, that just screams fear of disclosure. And that's not a good thing. So if it was if it was your grandpa's not going to run away when the medium opens up and tries to connect with your grandpa and say, "Hey, you're freaking your granddaughter out. Maybe you shouldn't follow so close, or maybe visit once a month or whatever." But the fact that this shadow figure decided that it didn't want to be known after it showed up in the room, that concerns me. So, boy, I don't know where to go here. I think that you need to get somebody who's really gifted and somebody who really deals with shadow figures or shadow people. And I know they're two different things, but I don't know what this one is. I can't categorize which one this is, but I don't think it's a good one. So I would say it's a shadow person. You need to figure out, like, you need to call Amy Allen and say, "Hey, can you send me some tar water and some pink blessed salts?" And then, call a few other people, get some blessed metals, bury them in the corner of your yard. I mean, I don't know. I would go full blown. I'd go full Monty on this one just to get it the hell out of there. I don't know what's going to work, so I'm just throwing everything at the wall, see what sticks. Blessed metals in the four corners of the yard, salt at the windows and doors. Wear a blessed metal myself, tar oil, saging, you name it.
So there's one thing that bothers me about this, and that is it seems every single person is able to see the shadow figure but her. And usually it's the other way around. Usually
Right.
the usually the I don't want to call her I don't want to call her the victim, but usually the person who is being affected by the shadow figure um is the one that sees it all the time. And they're like, it's always following me, it's always around, it's always in my passenger seat.
Right.
Nobody can see it but me, blah, 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 blah.
Right. And then people think you're nuts.
And people think you're nuts. This is the exact opposite. Everybody else is seeing this thing but her. It's not bothering her in any way, shape, or form. She goes to the medium not because it's bothering her, but she's like, everybody keeps telling me that there's this shadow figure following me around. What is that all about? This is like when like Margie and stuff like that started telling me about my attachment. And they're like, you have this woman following you around. And I'm like, huh? What are you talking about? Nobody's following me around. Dad, there's this thing about, about Workman's Chapel and stuff. And I'm like, that was like 6 months ago. I'm like, what's she waiting for? Me to die of old age? I'm
Right.
like, I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't experienced anything. I haven't, felt anything. I haven't, nothing. And that's exactly what this seems to be. And that's the only reason that I went and found it, tried to find answers or rectify the situation because somebody else had to tell me what was going on. And so, but again, that's not even, it's similar, but it's not the same because you have regular people here. I was being told by psychic mediums and stuff
Right.
like that was going on. You never saw her. I never saw her. Normal people never be like, who's that girl that's following you around? Like nobody ever said that. It was always psychic mediums that were able to see that I had this attachment.
Right.
And so that bothers me because it makes me think that maybe it's not so much a shadow figure, but maybe a psychic projection from her. You know, the psychic medium she went to, we don't even know if this person is reputable. Maybe she said, maybe she told her the backstory. There's people say there's a shadow figure following me around, blah, blah, blah. And in order to get her money, she's like, yeah, the shadow figure, but they won't tell me any information. Well, how convenient. So I agree with you. You said, find somebody who really knows what they're doing, has a lot of experience in doing this, and is able to see if there actually is anything there that is doing it. I mean, Dave, you can take I'm surprised you didn't say it, but take a page out of your book and set your boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, look, if you're around me, I don't know why, but you're freaking everybody else out. So for everybody else's sake, could you just leave me alone? That sort of thing. It's just, I don't think there's anything bad here. I get where you're coming from. Absolutely, I do. With the whole he doesn't want to share any information. I just don't think that there's actual spirit connected to her. I think it's something that she is doing, not intentionally, obviously, but she could be very, very gifted to the point where she can send out psychic images and stuff like that for other people to see. But yeah, that's where I'm going with that one. But yeah, I'm on shaky ground with this one just because it's so odd that it's completely reversed.
Yeah. Well, that's why I liked it. I think it's a great one to the one that we had earlier, which I don't think is a shadow person, and I do think that this is a shadow person. And so between you talking and then screaming into my ear nonstop to say it, so if I don't say it, I'll probably get shoved down the stairs, this is a perfect example of somebody who's got a lot of white light, and you got something really dark that doesn't like that and was sent to try and disrupt it. And so this thing is following her around exactly like her shadow would be, and it's trying to chip away at who she is, at her kind of light shield or light encasement. And it's constantly there. It's constantly there. She can't see it because her vibration level is not dropped low enough for her to see it. But it's there, and it's kind of picking away, trying to find a weak spot. And everybody else, for whatever reason, sees it, but she's not seeing it. That's what I said it. But that's what I've been hearing nonstop. So I don't know. Maybe that's a great. I mean, maybe that's a great thing, right? Maybe she's really good and really powerful. I mean, maybe this is kind of person who the Hat Man came and visited and tried to disrupt her life and send her on a different path, and she was basically like, "Get out of here," And then she went on with her life. And maybe she's the kind of person that brings a ton of white light and love to people and makes things positive and brings good energy and healing energy. And then, of course, if that is the case, and I guess this is speculation, but if that is the case, then absolutely, I'm going to throw a 100% stamp on it. That something negative would show up trying to chip away at your light. Probably a whole tribe of them, a whole legion, for those who want to use proper terminology, right? You'd have a whole legion show up, and they would just keep firing and firing and firing away until he got a chip in the armor or a chink, something they could focus on. And so far, they're just wasted bullets. I know that went way off on a tangent, but that's kind of what my gut's telling me. It's something similar to that.
That's another question because I know you want to do a frequency vibration show.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting question. Are certain people vibrating at such a higher level or lower level that they can't see spirits, whereas other people can? But I would think that if you're vibrating at a higher frequency or at a higher level, you'd be able to see all spirits beneath you. Whereas if you're going from below, you can't see any that are above.
I think if you're operating at such a high level of vibration, I think that you're just encased in your cocoon of white light. I don't think that you see anybody. I mean, maybe maybe this person sees that, and has frequent conversations with their guardian angels because they're up at that vibration level that their angels are at. So maybe because of that vibration, maybe she just doesn't want to see. I don't know. But it makes total sense if you think about the fact that something is constantly seen with her. I agree with you. That's strange. It's exactly the opposite of what we see 99% of the time. It's, hey, I got this thing following me around and I don't know where to go or who to say it to, because if I say it out loud, I'm going to get this stigma and people are going to categorize me as nuts, or, oh, hey, did you hear what Carol said? Did you hear? Oh, it would be the water cooler conversation of the year. Carol said she saw something out of the corner of her eye and it keeps following her around. I told you she was insane. Well, that's just how people are. So, I think that, I don't know, I find it very interesting. And I think that I will say this. I operate at a pretty high frequency, just normally. And I don't have many experiences. But when I drop my frequency down intentionally, it's a whole different game. Like, I intentionally lower my frequency to interact with what's around us.
I don't have that ability.
Yeah. Well, you might learn it. It takes time.
Maybe.
See, I would say ask Cena to help you with that, but I'm going to tell you, she probably, I could see her already shaking her head like violently, like, no.
Of course she would.
We're not doing the roller coaster ride and then putting ourselves out there as bait.
Yeah, that wouldn't be her response at all. But that's all right. All righty. Well, main topic?
Sure.
All righty. So, main topic tonight, obviously, is taking a look at what the religions of the world feel or believe or view of the paranormal, and more specifically the supernatural version of it, because there's nothing in the Bible that deals with Sasquatch, so we can't really talk about that.
As I say, not that I read anyway.
Yeah, and mostly the main religions, because I don't think that the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster has really dug into their views of the paranormal or the spirits. So we'll be leaving some of those out.
That's
but
fair.
Yes. So again, and we said this at the beginning of the show, but if you're joining us with the episode already in progress, again, Dave and I are not experts in this. We are not pretending to be. We are throwing stuff out there as best we can, and then we're going to discuss it, which is just our opinions. And none of this, in any way, shape, or form, is a judgment on anybody's religion. We're not saying what's right. We're not saying what's wrong. We're just saying these are their beliefs. Take it for what it is. And if we are wrong on something, by all means, correct us. Absolutely correct.
This is the entry-level course.
Yeah.
This is Ghosts in Religious Beliefs 101.
Yeah.
We are covering a very top layer of the conversation here. We're not digging any deeper than we're skimming the surface.
Right. So let's start, obviously, with what is the main, I think the main religion of the world, which is obviously Roman Catholic. And it's interesting. So I'm just going to summarize, and then we can discuss if need be. Obviously, we've talked about this over the last 8 years, so none of this comes as any sort of surprise. But obviously, when somebody dies, their spirit goes to heaven, hell, or purgatory. That's it. Those are the three options. You don't have any free will here. And the Roman Catholics are not the only religion to have this view, and that is ghosts are not spirits of the dead, but malevolent spirits or demons.
Right.
I think the Protestant faith also has there's no such thing as ghosts or spirits. Everything is a demon trying to trick you. There are other religions who have the same take on ghosts, but are different on what they are, and we'll get to that here shortly. And attempts to contact spirits is strictly forbidden.
Absolutely.
Because heaven forbid you should actually figure out that maybe it's not correct.
Well, I think it's more of they don't want you to lose your soul to the devil. I mean, I grew up Greek Orthodox, which is like Roman Catholic on steroids. And it was very strictly forbidden. Like when I was experiencing all those things in my house, and stuff was messing with me, and it was getting worse and worse. And I would go to church and try to talk to, and I don't want to say his name just in case there's anybody listening, because I don't want this to sound disrespectful, but we'll just say Father D. So when I would go and try to have a conversation with them or talk to him about it or share it with them, instantly I would get the blessing. and told that, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to communicate. There's nothing there that is positive. There's nothing there that is trying to help you in any way, shape, or form. Anything that is there is just trying to convert you to darkness and to sell your soul. And if you're a devout Roman Catholic, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm not a Roman Catholic anymore. It just became too defined and closed box for me. But I consider myself to be Christian 100%. And Christianity, there are hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of instances where Christians have seen miracles, have seen Mother Teresa come back, have seen Fatima, have seen angels come down and just people that have passed come back and relay a message. So I subscribe more to that now. Plus everything I've experienced and everything that I have witnessed now that I dug into it. But there's no way in hell you could tell me that there's not something else around us. There's just absolutely no way. And if you put yourself in my shoes, you would agree with that statement 100%. 3 times tonight I said 100%.
I was going to say, I was just thinking the same thing. It's like,
Jesus, I caught myself there. I can't say it anymore now for like the 6 months. Otherwise, I'm going to, what is happening to me in 2025?
You're getting more sure of yourself, Dave.
I guess so. But yeah, that's the difference between Roman Catholics and Christians, I think. Both believe in God. Both believe in Jesus Christ. Both believe that Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior and died to forgive our sins, and that we're going to be in his grace when we pass from this meat suit we're in now. But as a Christian, I can talk to spirits. As a Roman Catholic, I cannot. So.
All right. Well, I did the first one, so you're up.
All right. Well, I was thinking we would just go kind of gloss over all of them.
Well, we are.
And then, I don't want to dig into each one by one, is what I'm saying. Like, I just want to give a basic overview of like the difference, and then jump back into them deeper.
Okay.
You want to do that?
Doesn't matter to me.
All right. Because I'm going all over the place with this, because I found some things that I want to talk about that aren't necessarily religion specific to a religion. Like, it's not to Hinduism only, it's not to Buddhism only, or Islamic or Judaism. And we'll get there. So anyway, Hindus believe in ghosts, especially those who died violently or without proper rituals. Buddhists believe in ghosts, and including reincarnated individuals and those who are working out bad karma. That's what I love about Buddhism. Like I'm into Buddhism a little bit, because it's the same concept to me of being spun back out, coming back, living another life, because you're working out your karma. You're working out issues that you were sent back for. And Cena would be the first one to say that. And I know a dozen other friends of ours would be the same way. Well, yeah, because you're coming back because that's what you signed up for. That's what no. I didn't sign up for half of the shit I had. I know that. Either that or I was in the wrong line. Nobody told me to get in the other line. But anyway, and then I'll say Judaism. Jews have stories of both evil and helpful ghosts, but generally they run in the same pack as like Roman Catholics. They discourage you contacting the dead, heavily frowned upon. I get it. And you can hit the other ones. What do you got up?
Well, I definitely want to hit Judaism more.
Yeah, we'll hit Judaism. We're going to hit all these harder.
Because, there's a lot that I found there. So, Jehovah's Witnesses. They're more than just walking down the street in their little uniforms and asking you for money. That is what they do, don't they? Oh no, they ask you to
No. They pray with you at your front door, and they have on white shirt, black pants, white socks, black shoes.
Yep, their uniform.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that they would have beliefs other than just praying with you, but whatever.
I don't see many of them around anymore. I used to see them all the time where I grew up. They used to stop by every weekend. Here'd be the church van, park big old one of them 15 people vans, them Dodge Maxis. 15 people pile out and just take off different directions. And then you knew they're not going to. Do you have a minute? I could share a word of God with you.
You
ever answer the door for that?
No, God, no. I don't answer the door for anybody.
Yeah, as I say, you never answer the door.
I never answered the door.
Like, you're never going to win the Publishers Clearinghouse Prize because they're going to be like, oh, he's not home. I guess we got to go to our second name we pulled. Who's that? Oh, David Soyring? Oh, yeah. All right. Dave will answer the door.
Yeah. Probably catch him when he's, buying magazine subscriptions from the local high school kid.
Yeah.
But I peek around the corner to see who it is. So if they have a big check in their hand, well, I'll answer the door.
And balloons. Always got balloons.
Yeah, I look out my window a lot. So if I see that pull up, I will answer the door. Like if I ordered pizza. Anyway, they believe when someone dies, and this goes kind of to the whole no answer thing. When someone dies, their spirit is powerless and is unable to interact with the living world. Demons or unclean spirits deceive humans by posing as spirits of the dead to keep believers from worshiping Jehovah. I don't know where they get that. I've never come in contact with anybody with any spirit who is like, that Jehovah's a real wuss. You don't want to worship that guy. Like, I've never seen anybody talk out of worshiping Jehovah.
No. Right.
And again, attempts to contact spirits is strictly forbidden. Lutherans, there are realms in which spirits exist. In the absence of specific biblical evidence, the church does not speculate on whether ghosts exist or not. And Lutherans do believe in biblical teachings against occultism and contacting the dead. My grandmother was a very devout Lutheran. And when I got into the paranormal, at first it was a joke to her. Like, she laughed her ass off. I hadn't seen her laugh that hard in years at that point.
Well, look at the joy you brought to her life that day.
Right. And that was right before I went out with, you, Steve, and Moondance. And then when I told her about what went on that first time, she didn't find that funny anymore.
Yeah, I bet she didn't.
After that, it was very like, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that. And then later it just became, did you say any ghosts? And then, we'd have a conversation. I'd be like, no, this is what happened. So for Islam, which I think is the second biggest religion.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I thought, and this is interesting because I didn't know this. Once a person dies, their soul remains in the grave and a barrier is set up. They cannot return to the place of the living. Neither can they ascend to heaven or hell just yet.
Right.
There are jinn. So this is another one of those, like the different version of a demon. The jinn, which are another creation of Allah that live in a world parallel to humans. They are physically invisible and possess powers including taking on different physical forms. So another shapeshifter.
Yep.
And jinn can sometimes appear as ghosts in an attempt to lead people astray. I thought that was interesting. Especially the whole, like, the ghost remains in the grave and a barrier set up. Like, what kind of barrier?
Well, if you're a supernatural fan, you know that jinn exist because they slowly drain you of your blood and your life force. But they're kind in the respect that they take you to a happy place while you're being drained.
They are the supernatural drugs.
Yeah, you're getting roofied by the jinns.
Yeah.
But you're on a good ride while your life force is being stolen from you.
Yeah, the
So
supernatural.
it's kind of like a
heroin
Matrix
addict.
thing in a way,
Yeah.
you know. So do you even really know? Like, you don't know what's happening. So what the heck? Because they have a lot worse ways to go than that. But
Yes.
you know, I find that interesting too.
And finally,
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So the Church of Latter-day Saints. There is actually no firm doctrine on whether ghosts even exist. However, they do say that spirits who are contacted by mediums are most likely demons who were cast out of heaven during the rebellion. Interesting, very specific. Some Latter-day Saints leaders have speculated that the spirits of those who have passed on are not far from the living. I could see that. And obviously, occultism.
What do you think not far from the living means? Like, what's your personal take on like what that statement means?
That they're always around. They're not far away. You know,
so in a sense, like they're waiting for the bus to show up kind of thing. And while they are, they're just intermingling with us.
I suppose. I mean, there's nothing here that says when people die where they go.
Right. No, that's not what we're talking about here. We're just talking about how different religions view the concept of a ghost.
Right.
Not we're not going to dig deeper than that today.
But they say occultism, seances, Ouija boards, spiritualism are tools of Satan and are to be avoided.
And I would say that they're very closely in line with Protestants and Lutherans and Roman Catholics and Greek Orthodox in that respect, right?
I occultism, iffy. Seances and Ouija boards, I don't know if they're tools of Satan. They're just not good at it. But spiritualism, I don't agree with that one at all. Like I wouldn't say spiritualism is a tool of Satan.
I wouldn't say any of it necessarily is a tool of Satan. I think that's a pretty strong statement.
Well, yeah.
But anytime that you are asking the veil to open, and in those instances, every one of those things that we're talking about, that's exactly what you're doing. You're asking to cross into some place that we can't see, and then reaching in and arbitrarily pulling something out. And that's kind of how I see it, right? It's like trick or treat bag or Santa's back. Like you get your hand in the veil. Like there's people who can reach into the veil. Let's just say that for right now, we'll just call them mediums. They reach their hand into the veil. They want to have a seance. They say, okay, Tommy, the son that got, that died of pneumonia, your mom and dad are here and they want to talk to you. And Tommy going once, going, oh, there he is. And then you pull him through. And the real question is it Tommy? That's the real question. So I don't know. I think that, and the reason I asked you that is because I think that when we pass, our energy is going to go wherever the hell it wants to go. I don't think we're going to be trapped to stick around. I think more and more and more that spirits that you see that are intellectual hauntings are there for like emotional reasons. They themselves have not moved on yet. Maybe they're angry about what happened at the end of their life. Maybe they're angry about the relationship they had with their kids and how they saw it going a totally different way. Maybe, like we talked about thousands of times, they died a violent way or instantaneous, like a widowmaker heart attack, and just drop dead, and they don't know that they're dead. So they're confused and they're looking around and looking for help. I think those are the people that are stuck. The people that pass away that, you know, are just like, okay, it's my time. I think it's going to be like what that guy shared with my client. You know, it's going to be like you're going to wake up and you're going to be one of the stars in the cosmos. And there's just going to be this overwhelming sense of well-being and love and kindness. And so anyway, anywho, all right. So I found something interesting I want to read. So where are we going here? All right. So the mythologist Joseph Campbell once wrote that Buddhists don't dream of Christ. His point is simple. If your identity is bound up to a certain set of beliefs, you're likely not going to be unconsciously invaded by a different figure from another set, especially if you've never had contact with that system. I think that's a very interesting concept. So it'd be the same thing as, you know, I'm not big into Buddhism or Hinduism, but like when I see Buddha, like when I pass, like is Buddha going to be the one at the pearly gates? I don't think so. Right? It'd be weird if it was, but who knows?
Weird.
Campbell jotted down this idea well before the internet, obviously. But do Buddhists see Christian ghosts? The concept of ghosts is universal. In Buddhism, there are even categories of ghosts. Hungry ghosts are being driven by intense emotional desires, while ghosts, as we generally know them in America, apparitions of the deceased, also exist. It says Taoism, which we didn't touch on, hungry ghosts emerge from the ether if their meat casing of a human body died violently or unhappily. So that's interesting, right? So if you're a Taoist and you pass away peacefully, you're just out of here, man. You're just gone. But if, God forbid, you die violently or you're not happy that you died, you're ripping yourself out of the ether and putting yourself back in a meat casing. I absolutely love that. And I'm reading this verbatim. So that is exactly how I would describe it too. But you know, that's a couple of interesting concepts, right? And then he goes on to talk more about like Protestant Catholics that you know, believe in resurrection and judgment, which eventually ends up in heavenly realm, or in the heavenly realm, or in the hellish domain. Catholics, he says, throw in a purgatory for a good measure. So is that, do you think that he's on to something there as far as these religious containment walls? And of course, there's going to be some bleed over. But I mean, if you're a true Buddhist or a true Roman Catholic, and that is your rock solid belief, you know, if you're a Roman Catholic, I'm going to tell you, if you're a true Roman Catholic, when you die, you're going to see Jesus. That's just how it is. And there's going to be other loved ones around, but you know, other religions, what are you experiencing? You know, if you're Buddhist, is Jesus coming? Well, to me, I would say yes. Because I think that there's only one. I only believe in one. There's probably a multifaceted side to him, but I believe in one God.
But if you want to take into account, like, even, you know, when I interviewed Scott on the show about biblical myths or things that people believe from the Bible that are actually incorrect. You know, one of the things that I learned, obviously, is that God in the Roman Catholic faith and Allah in the Islam faith are the same entity, just different names for the same being.
Right.
And if you want to take what Cena always says, it's just the whatever God or whatever God entity or whatever that created all these, the tree of life or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, why can't he look however he wants?
Oh, he can.
So why can't people who, when they pass away, they expect to see Jesus Christ. They see Jesus Christ. Those who live their life believing in Allah, and Allah looks like this, and they believe in Buddha, and Buddha looks like this. When they die, that's what they see, because that's what they're expecting to see. I don't think there's one form that, so Buddha, people who believe in Buddhist or Hinduism or Judaism, they see Jesus Christ, because that would mean the Roman Catholics and whatever the people, they had it correct. One thing we didn't talk about at all, which wasn't in any of my list, is Mormons. I go back to the whole there's a South Park episode that I thought was absolutely hilarious. And
well, they're all absolutely hilarious.
Well, they're all absolutely hilarious. But this particular part was, somebody asked, I can't even remember who they asked, who was right about the afterlife. And it's like, oh, it was the Mormons. And then it went over to Mormon heaven or whatever it was. It had a scene there. But I mean, and this honestly goes back to my theory about self-actualization. I think you experience what you expect to experience. And end of theory. I think you see who you are expecting to see.
So then I wonder if you, at the last second, right at that last second,
change your mind.
Yeah, right. Like I'm just going back to Ghostbusters, when they're like, don't think of anything. Keep your mind pure. Don't think of anything. Oh, I couldn't help it.
You see the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man? Am I
going to see the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man at the gates, instead of St. Peter? I don't know. But I think it's interesting. I think that whatever you believe in is perfectly fine. I don't have any opinion on other people's religious beliefs. You believe whatever you want to believe. I suppose you could throw atheists in here too. Because even though atheists don't believe in God, they're still, obviously, it's a religion in kind of the respect of, you just don't believe in anything. I mean, I know atheists don't believe in ghosts because there's nothing. The whole thing of being an atheist is when you die, that's it. It's just eternal darkness. You don't go on. There's no energy moving forward.
Is that atheist or is that agnostic?
That's atheist. Okay. Agnostic is you're on the fence. Yeah, I've had these great positive moments, but Jesus doesn't come down every Sunday and have coffee, and I ask him to. I don't understand. Okay. All
right.
That's an agnostic. Atheist is the
I had them switched.
Yeah, atheist is the staunch. There's nothing here. You're all idiots. The earth is flat. The space landing was fake. That's like the atheist mentality. Everything has a black and white to it. It's just all black and white. There can't possibly be anything that goes beyond this, because that's just the way it is. You're just going to turn to worm food and that's it, and stop, So you better live your life like it's your last moment. If everybody lived their life like it was their last moment, the world would be chaos. All it would be is chaos, because everybody be running around doing what they want to. There'd be no set rules, no normalcies, no nothing, because everybody be living their life like it's their last moment.
I think if it was, I had to live my life like it was, my eyes would be a lot bigger.
I'm not even going to say what I'd be doing, but
yeah. So
it's a family show.
Yeah, exactly. So, although we did have a story about ass up, face down. So maybe this episode is not so much family friendly. But
that was a legitimate question sent in. I mean,
I got it. I'm just saying. I want to talk about this. I want to make sure we talk about this. We only got 20 minutes left in the show. That's Judaism.
We got a lot more to talk about.
So. I know. but I want to make sure we get to talk about this because it has a lot of different things that that I've come in contact as an investigator that are almost like answers to some of my questions. So I want because you touched on it very, very briefly, but you didn't hit like any like what I thought was like the very important stuff about Judaism. So when a person dies, their spirit is divided into three aspects. One goes to heaven shortly after death. One wanders around the physical plane seeking the body it came from and will eventually fade away. And another remains by the buried body forever. A Dybbuk is a ghost of a deceased person who will possess another human for malevolent purposes. We've talked about Dybbuks before.
Yep.
So the first one was very, very interesting to me, and we'll get into that in a short. This is also very interesting, especially the way they put it. In Ibbur, I-B-B-U-R, never seen that word before in my life, is a ghost of a deceased person who will quote unquote impregnate itself in a human for benevolent purposes. They will be thought of as a spiritual guide or guardian angel. When the person no longer needs them, the spirit will leave on its own accord. That's interesting. Like just the way it was phrased. Because going back to the first one about the three aspects, it's always been one of my questions as to why spirits are around graveyards.
Oh, absolutely.
Always been one since day one, which was obviously my very first investigation of cemeteries. Why are we even here? Why would a spirit be here? And you and I have both gotten like 100 EVPs and pieces of evidence out of cemeteries.
Yeah.
But
amazing,
it's never
absolutely amazing stuff too. I cannot believe I'm still. I knew that those places I looked up were going to be good. I just knew it when I saw them, but
yeah,
I just flabbergasted by the experiences we had there and the evidence and stuff that we caught. It was just, It is weird that it's that active, but it makes total sense. So I wonder if you went to just a Jewish cemetery, right? So like, I'm sure that they probably have Jewish cemeteries, right? Like, so the synagogue. So you've got like,
well, you probably see if you get like a graveyard connected to a Zion church.
Yeah, or that, right? So I wonder then, with that concept, it would just be like a busy diner in New York, right? Soup on three, I mean, people yelling across the room at each other and, getting a 3-foot tall roast beef sandwich and, matzo ball soup. And I wonder if it would be that way. I mean, I just wonder if you walked in, if it would be super busy like that. I think that's very interesting too, that you get fragmented. So a piece of yourself is here, a piece of yourself is there, and a piece of yourself is. I mean, that's a great, like when they sat down and threw that concept out, right? They're like, okay, we're going to cover the bases here. 1/3 of you walks around looking for your body. That covers the ghosts that everybody sees wandering aimlessly around. 1/3 stays by the cemetery. That's why people are creeped out by cemeteries. I mean, it's almost like they were thinking about it as a movie, right? Like we're going to wrap this all up in one nice little concise statement. This is why this is, this is why this is, this is why this is. I love that.
I mean, do you think I think it's honestly possible. I mean, it fits into a lot of different things.
I agree with you. I'm not being sarcastic at all. I agree with you. I think that it answers a lot of questions.
It does. And that's when I read it. I'm like, well, I'll be damned. I'm like, well, that would answer that question for me.
Right.
Have you ever heard of an Ibbur or a Bor or what the hell how it's pronounced?
No.
No, neither have I.
Well, Dybbuks, yeah, but
Dybbuks.
So that's like the opposite of a Dybbuk for Judaism, then.
Yeah, spiritual guide or guardian angel.
Yeah, so you're bringing in the white light would be the what did you pronounce it? Ib something?
Ibbur, IBBUR.
Okay. So that would be the good ghost helping you out, keeping you safe at your time of need. And then a Dybbuk would be obviously just the opposite of that. Would be, and everybody knows the word Dybbuk because it was made famous by
The Dybbuk
movies.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say it was made famous by movies. But then also obviously with the whole Dybbuk box and all of the hoopla that surrounded the Dybbuk box and stuff like that Zach has. So, I mean, that really got brought to the forefront. But, you know, if that is a real Dybbuk box, it can't be the only one. There's got to be people have, you know, you'd think you would create thousands of them, that people would have done them. I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's ever any one and done with stuff. That'd be like saying there's only one haunted doll, which we know that's total bullshit.
Yeah. All dolls are haunted.
Well, as I say, you sent me a picture just the other day out of like the 16 dolls. 14 of them looked like they were ready to rip your soul out. And then the one that was creeping up the bed, you know, she was in charge. That was Marge in charge with the red hair. She's going right for the heart. Grab a hold of the soul and get everybody else to jump on board and start pulling.
That's such a great photo. I knew you'd like that one.
It was a great photo. I was like, nope.
What do you?
You couldn't pay me enough to sleep in that bed.
So, I mean, what's your take on the phrasing of like a spirit guide or a guardian angel impregnates you?
Well, I think that's interesting. Yeah, I don't get. That's an interesting way to describe it, right?
I mean, it is in quotes, but I mean,
yeah.
So it's just their way of trying to describe it. But
well, I don't know, like enters you against your will, maybe.
Well, I mean, but who decides?
Shoots inside of you.
I mean, this doesn't.
I guess that could be a literal translation.
I mean, this doesn't even say like a deceased loved one.
No, right.
It's family member. It's just a deceased person.
Yeah. So somebody who's gonna help you and keep you safe at a moment of need.
But I mean, who makes that decision? Do they, or does God or whoever the deity you believe in does? I mean,
that question is above my pay grade, sir.
So if I died before you, could I impregnate you and become your spiritual guide just because I want to?
If that's what you want to do, that's fine.
Well, I know that's fine with you, but I'm just saying in general, could I just pick some random person like my next door neighbor and just become their spiritual guide? I mean, who makes that decision?
I don't know.
Well, think of it, Judaism.
now you got Mike frustrated trying to figure out.
Good concept. Not enough. Not enough explanation. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I just thought that was a really interesting concept. So I know we already talked about Buddhism and Hinduism, and they are very, very close. The Buddhists and Hindus believe in ghosts. But this one thing about Buddhism is ghosts occupy a distinct overlapping world, is what a Buddhism belief is. And I think that's very, I didn't even know that I harbor some of these Buddhist beliefs as well. Because God, just within the last couple of days, I think I had that thought of there's just ghosts all around us. There's spirits all around us, walking in and out of houses everywhere, and they have their own little world.
Yep.
And then I saw obviously ghosts occupy a distinct overlapping world, and I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, that falls into what I believe is the case here. I mean, 'Cause I can't tell you how many times I've been told, uh, happened the same day we were having that meeting where was it Chantel? I think was her name.
Yeah.
Told me about this woman who just came into my kitchen and sat down
Yeah. Yeah.
for a little bit,
The
and
older lady.
yeah, and I was just like, "Is it my mom?" They're like, "No, she's visiting. She's just here
She's just
because
here.
she likes her kitchen." And then 10 minutes later, I'm like, "Was she still there?" No, she left. Uh, there was when Ricky lived here, very very gifted medium and stuff like that. She would often ask me, she's like, weren't you woken up by all the slamming cabinets or cupboards or whatever? And I'm like, no, I didn't hear a thing. And apparently there was like some teen kid that decided to wander into my house and start slamming my cabinets. Um, which she obviously, was affected by, but I wasn't because I not that sensitive. So I mean, I think definitely that there is an overlapping world of spirits. How many there are, I have no idea.
Well, I think if that is true, then I'm really, really thankful that we're desensitized to that. Because you would not be able to exist if dead people were constantly walking in and out of your house uninvited, slamming cabinets, staring at you while you're taking a crap, rummaging through your underwear drawer. I mean, you couldn't live your life. You'd be disrupted all the time. So if that is the case, maybe there is a barrier there in our human mind. So we're doing the mind show. Maybe there's something in the human mind.
Which you've been saying for like, I don't know, 4 years.
Well, we're going to do it.
Maybe next year.
No, this year we'll get it in. But what if there's a safety switch, right? I think that there is. Man, we only use 10% of our brain.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell's the other 90% doing? Right? It's got to be doing something. It's doing something. It's alive. There's energy all around. There's the electrical pulses shooting through the whole entire brain, not just 10% of it. So, maybe one of the things that's in there is some sort of wall, a shield. Just because, and I hear this all the time, and I already know my answer to this, and so do our listeners. I want to get I want the government to peel back the curtain, take me and a handful of other people and show me all the truths so that I know exactly what's going on. I can handle that. I'm not going to walk out of there insane with a drool cup, sitting in the corner like a feeble old man, wetting myself. I can handle anything you tell me I can take. There's nothing that you're going to tell me that might shock me. It might cause me to become emotional, but it's not going to take me out. But what if the human brain does that? What if it knows? Like, what if somehow we know through evolutionary process or from the Galactic Council or from wherever? What if we know that there has to be a wall there? Otherwise, we would all go insane clinically. Now, there's a scientific, I'll throw some science in there. We would all be clinically insane because it would just be constant interruptions in your existence. You would never get anything done. You'd be like a certain percent of the population would be scared all the time. A certain percent of the population would be loading up their AR-15s. A certain percent of the population would be sitting around a tree holding hands with white candles. I mean, it would be there'd be all kinds of different responses, but I don't know. I think there has to be some sort of safety net built in there, because I wouldn't want that to happen. Well, I know you wouldn't either. I mean, you didn't want to get woken up in the middle of the night by some 18-year-old kid slamming your cabinets, being a dick.
No, but I would think that if that were ever to actually happen, that you'd be able to put up barriers. you know, to keep people out. I mean, and I know that, like if you ask Cena, she can turn it on and off. So, I mean, I think people with, like mediumship abilities, I mean, they just, and that's always been a big one is people who keep getting woken up at night. It's like, well, you need to shut yourself down. You need to close
Right.
yourself off. And I think that's why I think it's so that these spirits who just kind of meandering around or checking out your stuff or you do whatever can bother you until you're ready to tap back in.
Yeah, we're gonna have to bring this. This is good. There's gonna be a part 2 to this.
All right.
Because we didn't get anywhere deep enough for, I mean, we didn't, you know, as I'm sitting here kind of just thinking, what about voodoo? Voodoo's a religion. Again, totally different concepts of, yeah, so there's going to be a part 2 to this because we've got 3 minutes left. So obviously we're not going to slam in 3 minutes, but we did hit, you know, Judaism is an eye opener, right? I mean, and a lot of the stuff that they believe in makes sense in the world that we live in right now.
Mm-hmm. But like I said, there just seems to be bits and pieces.
Maybe they got some of it figured out.
Yeah.
I mean, talking about Cena, she said if you're going to read any Bible, read the Jewish Bible. She just said that when she was on the show a couple of weeks ago. She said that's the only Bible that she has, and the only one she ever suggests is the Jewish Bible. She doesn't suggest that you read any other version of it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So does that play into something? Does she know something? I mean, and that just popped into my head, you know, that she had said that at the time. Why are we talking about a Jewish Bible? But now digging a little bit deeper and what you just talked about, well, now does it make sense? I mean, should I get a copy and read the Jewish Bible and see what the differences are?
Be interesting.
Yeah.
And I fully and 100% volunteer you to do that.
I'm sure you do. Yeah. Thank you.
My pleasure.
I'll put a note to self.
Yep.
Get a Jewish Bible.
Get a Jewish Bible. Maybe Stour has like a gold-plated one.
I don't think so, but I'll look.
All right. Well, that does it here for this week's show. We hope that obviously I don't think we said anything that would offend anybody. But again, if this is your religion, we got something wrong, or you have something that you would like to add to the conversation, by all means, you know, if we do a second part of it, that can obviously be a part. Any corrections or additions that you people want to throw in, we can easily put that in there.
Well, here, I'll tell you what, I think that this is a great subject. I think this is eye-opening. Like a lot of the stuff we talked about today was kind of new and fresh. And it was just a good conversation topic to just talk about other things and blend it all together. But you know how we like to do roundtable shows?
Mm.
Like, I think this would be a great concept to get somebody from the Muslim faith, somebody from, you know, voodoo, somebody from Roman Catholic, you know, different backgrounds, and just put the concept out there in a positive fashion.
Well, of course.
No, you know, screaming and you know, nothing negative about somebody else's beliefs is going to be allowed. But I think that would be a great roundtable. Because boy, you talk about a conversation that'll make you sit and pause. That's going to be one of them. You know, if somebody's going to say something that's going to make you stop and go, huh, I hadn't thought of that before. And that was the goal ever since the first show we ever did. It's the first thing I ever said. If I can make somebody pause for take 5 minutes out of their day to do more research on something that we talked about on the show, then that's a win.
We'll get to work on it. Yeah, that does it for this week.
Yep.
We'll be back next week with another brand new episode. So stay tuned for that. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe. We want to see you back here. Everyone, have a great rest of your weekend.